Hi everyone. So I know that we just had an episode, but I wanted to say a few words about what's happening in Israel. So in the last month, there have been 10 terror attacks targeting Israeli civilians. And unfortunately, just in the last week, there have been 3 deadly terror attacks in which 11 Israelis have been murdered. Israeli civilians have been murdered. That comes from stabbing attacks, from car ramming attacks, from shooting attacks. A number of different operations that were carried out by a Palestinian in one case who was illegally in Israel, who had a record that was known to the police before, as well as several Israeli Arabs who had been affiliated with ISIS, and ISIS did claim responsibility for that attack. Obviously, this is really, really disturbing and upsetting to Israelis, both Arabs and Jews. And I think that what's important to know and what's important to understand if you're not in Israel, if you're not an Israeli, is that this is an extreme and vocal minority. It doesn't speak even for the Israeli Arab Society, who has vociferously rejected this hatred. And I think that it's unfortunately not over yet. I do think that there are going to be more attempted attacks. We have historically seen an uptick in violence and in terrorism during times of Ramadan. So we will see what happens in the coming days. I'm praying for my country and for my people, and hopeful that nothing further happens. But we are in a really, really critical situation. And unfortunately, what we see after these attacks is that a lot of the extremists are celebrating. We see them passing out candy, celebrating in the streets of Jenin, where this terrorist who committed the attack today is from. We see them celebrating in Gaza. We saw celebrations at Damascus Gate in East Jerusalem from Palestinians. And this is really just reprehensible, because the killing of civilians is never excusable. There's no excuse for terrorism. And I don't think it's coincidence it's happening at this time, because we see that as Israeli Arab society is more integrated and more proud than ever to be Israeli, and more people want to work together, want to live together. And not only that, but in the entire Middle East, more and more Arab countries want normalization, they want peace, they want cooperation with Israel. Arabs and Jews are in this together. That's what the West is missing. But as that happens, the extremists are going to be more and more frustrated, because their rhetoric and their narrative is falling out of favor. And it should, because we don't want that anymore. And that goes for the extremists who are coming from the side of Iran, like Hezbollah. And it also goes, and the Houthis, and it also goes for what we saw just a few days ago with the attacks of people pledging allegiance to ISIS. We have to stand up against this hatred as Arabs and as Jews. And please, I urge you not to generalize. Most Israeli Arabs are not like this at all, and in fact are probably going to end up suffering more because of the acts of these few extremists. So we have to unite as a society. We have to unite against terrorism. And if you have any further questions about why this is happening, or how it works, or what's going on, feel free to message me, or message Yosef, or message the Headlines with the Dads page, and we'll be happy to answer questions as best and as open and as honestly as we can. Thank you, and stay safe.